Good afternoon, everyone. My name is TJ Muehlman. I am the founder and chief organizer person of Standard Co. We are here in our third installment of our data series called Data is Awesome, but Managing Data Still Sucks. In the first two episodes, we talked about our background in standardizing data for large clients and small clients and everybody in between. In our second installment, we talked about the difference between structured and unstructured data and why it's important to understand the difference. Today, we want to kind of talk about a real world example of how we standardize and make sense out of data by talking about the COVID mapping project, which is a project we created back in March of 2020. Now, rewinding back to then, I was getting off of an airplane from Geneva, Switzerland, where I was at the World Health Organization, meeting about neglected tropical diseases. And while we were there, the very first case of COVID came into Switzerland. And while I was in this conference room with about 50 people, phones lit up like you were at a concert. And it was the news that the COVID virus had been found in Switzerland. And we started talking about the data around COVID. What did we know about it? Where was it happening? How bad was it? And we quickly realized that there was no good, cohesive data platform for understanding COVID. When I came back from Geneva, my phone started to light up. Friends from Texas, Georgia, Washington, states that I was born in, raised in, and currently live in, were asking me, what did I know about COVID? And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on either. I started going to the Department of Public Health websites in Georgia, and I saw this. Washington, I saw this. And Texas, I saw this. And what I found was that the names that they were calling things like cases, some were calling it confirmed, some were calling it positive. Some were calling them infections, and some were calling them cases or fatalities or deaths. The nomenclature, the way they were referring to these things, the systems they were using to tell the story, they were all different. And it was really hard to connect the dots between what was happening in one state and what was happening in another. So what we do for a living is help clients gather data from really remote and disparate parts of the world. Most of the time, that's with our native apps in remote villages in low and middle income countries. Little did we know that we would be using the exact same technology to gather data from public health websites here in the US. And we created the COVID mapping project, which brought all this data into one place. And for the first time on March 12th, we were able to say, I can see what's happening in Georgia, in Texas, in Washington, as well as the rest of the states, as well as every county in the United States, and be able to understand what was happening. So let me show you what that looks like and why it matters. So if I go to the COVID mapping project, I can see Georgia's data right here. I can see cases, I can see deaths, I can see some top line indicators. I can go to Washington, where I live now, and I see the exact same data. Same thing with Texas, same data. And the powerful part of all of this is that by putting it into one bucket, I can actually analyze across states and start to see trends in what might be happening. Here's a real world example. So here we are in July of 2021. COVID has started to quiet down. Things seem to be on the up and up. We're all good, except maybe we're not. And the way we know that is I have set up an alert that in Georgia, it's going to send me the caseloads, the new cases found in Georgia every single day, and send that email to me every morning around 8 a.m. And we have a goal that we set up of we're hoping for 500 cases or fewer every single day. Now, this is a goal that we made up. This is not some guideline by the CDC or the Department of Public Health. It's just something we were looking at. And what we noticed was that since May 31st of this year, we've been below that threshold. Good news. However, on July 9th, over the weekend, or late last week, we crept above that 500 threshold. So what does that mean? Is this the Delta variant? Is there something else going on? We are not epidemiologists. We are merely data people, and we're here just to point out trends that we notice. So I can use this data, click on this to go to a specialized dashboard that we created. And I can see here's the data for Georgia since pretty much the beginning of COVID in March of 2020. And this 500 line right here, we've been above it almost every day. In fact, every day since April of last year until May of this year. And then we crept back above it just last week. So if I wanted to dig into maybe where those cases are coming from, we've set up an additional dashboard that allows me to go from that state dashboard and start digging into specific days and counties in Georgia to understand maybe where these cases are coming from. And I can see that here in Georgia that we've got a couple different indicators we're reporting: percent change, daily case change, and 7-day average. I'm going to move my face over there. And I can see that the county that has changed the most is Baker County, but it's only gone from 7 cases. It's added just a handful of new cases. It's a relatively small number. Fulton County, on the other hand, which is, I think, the biggest county in Georgia, added 77 new cases. So I can start to dig into and drive deeper into the data to understand what's happening. And the only reason we can do this is because we are bringing all the data into one place. It happens automatically, and we map all that data into one nice, clean bucket that we can then analyze either automatically through the kind of dashboard I showed you just a minute ago, or on an ad hoc basis based on trends and things that we might be seeing. So with all this being said, this is what we do. Standard data. Oh, my face is off the screen. There we go. Standard data is what we do. We collect, manage, analyze data for some of the largest organizations in the world. Would love to talk to you more about how we might be able to help you. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share. Tell the world. Visit covidmappingproject.com, and hopefully we see those numbers start to go down again.